Hello again, and welcome to the second episode of The Powers of Art. I'm Madame Madoom. For those of you whom joined us last time, you may remember what has already transpired here live in our studios. Or perhaps you have chosen to forget. For those of you with small children out there, let me forewarn you, what you are about to experience is real and not always justified. How many times have you lost track of time while wandering through a museum? How many times have you used the word magical when describing a dance performance? And how many times have you left a performance because it just didn't make sense? You are not alone. We are not alone. Tonight, you will witness once again, live on television, from our studios in Berlin in front of a live studio audience, the experiments you hate to love because you just cannot account for the feelings it inspires. Performance, the performer, living art. Yes, ladies and gentlemen, it's time to buckle your seatbelts, clench your fists, and hold on tight for another episode of The Powers of Art. On tonight's show, we have performer, critic, and socialite Dan Pye, and the creator of many, 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 many things, Lan Hun. My first guest on today's program is Lan Hun, a Taiwanese performer based in Berlin. Here he is.
Invisible process. Invisible projection. Invisible object. Invisible movement. invisible body.
Lon, could you describe yourself as an artist? What do you say when people ask you what you do for a living?
I'm an artist.
You explained that you are a creator of many, 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 many things. Would you like to elaborate on that?
Yes, I do music, I do theater, I do acting, I do curating, I do installation, I do video, I do sculptures, I do theater, I do performance, I do video performance, I do drawings, I do comic books, I do a commercial with China, I do computer programming, and sometimes I do websites too.
Would you say you employ the elements of sex, compassion, or destruction in your work?
Yeah, that's much about what I'm doing.
Are you familiar with Satanism?
That reminds me something. I think my mother always tell me something about that. I have some images, but I cannot really describe. But I think I feel quite comfortable with these kind of things.
According to the Levian branch of Satanism, there are two main categories of magic: greater magic and lesser magic. Greater magic involves ritual and ceremony to focus one's emotional energy towards a specific purpose. Lesser magic's methods are basically non-ritual and manipulative, involving the magician using natural abilities to manipulate circumstances or persons. It's more cunning and deceptive. At the forefront of this magic is the ability to appear as somebody you are not, if that is so advantageous to the scheme. Anton LaVey states that lesser magic can be divided into three subsequent categories: sex, compassion, or destruction. Proper mastery of lesser magic involves finding out which of these three elements complements your personality and appearance. As a theoretical and intellectual concept, Satanism continues to inspire people today. Blogs such as Who's Who in the Underworld and Why I'm Not a Satanist receive numerous clicks daily. But as a practice, Satanism inspires few. Lon, would you say that you have a knowledge that you prefer to keep secret?
Yes, I would say so. I would like to keep a lot of secret from myself to being mysterious. And I like to be mysterious because people get interested and people get curious and to forward to listen what I'm saying.
Please stay tuned as we broadcast live via satellite to countries all over the world, including yours. You are watching The Powers of Art, the only television show dedicated to the paranormal and live art. White lightning, white knuckle, white elephant, whitewash, white list, white flag, white knight, white trash, black tie, black-hearted, black sheep, black list, black belt, black out, men in black, gray matter, gray water, gray power, gray page, gray hair, gray alien, Grey's Anatomy. There's a lot more to magic than just the rudimentary categories of black, white, and gray. And there's a lot more associations with the colors black, white, and gray than magic. Associations, definitions. Here to rationalize the irrational is our in-house expert, Alex X. Pert.
T, E, X, T, text. Sehr geehrter Herr Daniel Bakker Hinojo, hier befinden Sie sich dein Bankpin. Uno, dos, tres, cuatro, cinco, seis, siete, ocho, nueve, 10, 11, 12.
Wow, what a ritual, Alex. Are you going to enlighten us with your methods and practices?
Hi, Madame Madoom. It's great to be back on the show. But as you know, we magicians, we never reveal our secrets.
Okay, Alex. You practice a sort of magic called functional, or more precisely, wild magic. Is that correct?
Yes, that's right. I practice functional magic. What is functional magic? Functional magic is magic that works. How or why it works is unclear, but there is always an effect. Under functional magic, there are subcategories such as alchemy, inherent gift, magic music, and wild magic. Wild magic is a particular form that I practice. What does wild magic mean? In wild magic, the magic is alive. It has its own agenda. And to follow its own whims, which change so quickly, no sane person could do or predict what the outcome will be. If it wants to help you, it will, but you never know. On the other hand, there is the original conception of magic, which most people are familiar with, and this is ritualized magic. A ritual magician must do specific words, gestures, actions, give offerings within a restricted time and space. This is the kind of magic that you can learn. It's not a talent you're born with. You might want to call this type of magician a sort of engineer of magic.
Are they compatible? Or rather, can they get along? Can a magician practice both of these systems?
Oh yes, absolutely. And this is just my opinion, because there is a lot of disagreements about this in the scholastic circles. You might have noticed last night something rather interesting. If you look over here, this is my old wizard's hat from the days when I first started studying ritual magic. My intention was only to refer back to the old ritualistic magic traditions. I just want to draw your attention to something very, very interesting. You can see I'm actually in a white cube at the moment, and these white cubes are spreading and dotting the landscapes of many, many urban areas all around the world. Wild magicians are attracted to working in these white cubes. You might ask yourself, why? Wild magic, performed in a white cube, reflects back what wild magic intentionally wants to keep meaningless, but always virtuous.
Alex, would you be willing to pull out one of your old ritual magic tricks for us?
Wow, doing a ritualized magic in a white cube is pretty experimental, but I'll give it a shot. To be, or not to be.
Well, that was some fantastic magic, Alex. Thank you so much for joining us today.
Yeah, no, thank you, Madame Madoom. It's always great to see you.
Bye. Folks, I'd like to turn your attention to a centuries-old yet completely relevant topic in today's society: the body. On stage, in relation to an audience who has most likely paid money to witness that body. In a contemporary context, we refer to this as theater. Other popular terms are performance, performance art, or live art. In its essence, theater is mostly a group of people who pretend to be somebody else. According to one source, all performance can be considered theater. So then when is a performance not theater? Simply stated, when the performer does not try to be somebody else, but rather themselves. So basically, we are being led to believe that the task of a person on stage is simply to A, pretend to be somebody else, or B, pretend to be themselves. It's a bit suspicious, or rather, not the whole story, wouldn't you say? It's my honor to have in the studio today two guests who are experts on this subject and will discuss this issue amongst many others in our performers debate. Dan, first of all, I'd like to say that I had the honor and privilege of witnessing one of your critiques in a festival last year called Plot in Situ in the Akud Festival. Could we show a short clip of this festival for the benefit of our audience?
Sure.
5, 6, 7, 8.
Okay, I have a little exercise that I would like to try. Are you two willing to play along? I will say a word, and then you will say its opposite, okay?
The opposite.
Yeah.
Mind.
Body
Body also, body.
or flesh.
Black.
Red
White.
or white.
White.
Nature.
City.
Body. I say body already. Supernature.
Okay. Science.
Religion.
Fiction. No.
Yin.
I know. Yang.
Yang.
Yang. No.
Okay. Star Wars.
Mary Poppins.
Yeah. Or, I don't know, Waltons.
Other popular answers are Star Trek.
All right.
These are classic examples of false dichotomies, elements which are not mutually exclusive or contradictory, but are quite often considered as thus. Another concept, another option, the possibility that these elements might be two sides of the same coin has been left out. Interestingly enough, this is often referred to as black and white thinking. Now, if both of our contenders, guests, are ready, I'd like to begin the debate.
Okay.
Okay. Question 1. The law of things adjacent states that apparent opposites are actually two ends of the same bar. An example of this would be the magician and the scientist, or the performer and the magician. Agree or disagree, Lon?
I don't agree. Like, why it's performance and magician? They are quite of like very similar stuff. For me, could be even the same. Like magician also, it's like a performer. So it's for me, it's in the same category. They are the same.
Dan?
Yeah, I mean, I just wish people would stop, discriminating and trying to put labels on things, I mean, we all know what the real lesson is. A lot of people have said it. Whether you believe in Allah, or you believe in Jesus, or you believe in Maya the Bee, we're all one. And if we can just, tie into that, things would be a lot better.
All right. Second, black box and the white cube. Would you say, keeping in line with the definitions of black magic and white magic, that the white cube is virtuous and the black box is abusive? Agree or disagree? Dan?
Well, I do agree that the black box is abusive, but that doesn't necessarily mean it's a bad thing.
I don't agree at all. It's strange how people define this, because for me they are more or less they are both neutral. Nothing. It's emptiness.
Okay, Tina Turner said, I know the difference between black magic and white magic. Do you?
All I know is Tina Turner is always talking about the difference between black and white, and I don't know whether she's black or white myself.
Who is Tina Turner?
Next question. Science cannot explain everything, and magic is just something that has not been explained yet. Agree or disagree? On.
There's a lot of things we cannot explain it, but I think it's that simple. It's something more complex than that. It's too simple, simplify everything. It's not. I don't know. I think it's not good.
No, it's definitely not good. I don't know why people are always trying to explain everything. I mean, do you really want everything explained? I mean, what would life be like if everything was explained?
Marilyn Manson is quoted saying, music is the strongest form of magic. Music is often used to accompany performance, especially when there is no text. The purpose of the music is to have an effect. So there is obviously a cause and effect in play in such a situation. Agree or disagree?
Well, if you're going to define cause and effect by something happens before and then something always happens after, well, then I would agree. Because, I mean, music always has an effect.
Who is Marilyn Manson?
Next question. A good magician will quite often be seen performing his or her spells naked, so as not to restrict mobility. Also, they are reputed to have nimble fingers, nosebleeds, and the habit of quivering. Could any of these observations be applied to you, Dan?
Yes, absolutely. I follow in the tradition of what's considered martyrs and saints, and these people were the proto-performers, and what happens to them happens to me. I don't know why, but I get brain seizures, I get nosebleeds, and this is all part of the process, and something's speaking through me.
I only agree in this part. We should get naked. Everybody should just get naked, just free our body. Yeah.
I'd like to see you naked.
Alex X. Pert earlier explained that a magician could actually adhere to two different definitions of magic and practice these methods both simultaneously and separately. Do you agree with his practice? What is your opinion on mixing the genres?
I'm all for mixing genres, but the way that Alex X. Pert mixes genres is something to be desired for.
Lon?
Yeah, I think I'm always doing that. I agree. Yeah.
Do you adhere to a strict or preordained set of rules on stage, or do you allow yourself to be a bit wild, so to speak? Lon?
I think if there's a rule, and it should should break. We should break the rule. So we should get wild, totally.
Yeah, I mean, for me, you know, a rule is like it's like a horizon, you know? The closer you get to it, the further it gets, you know? And that's the way it should be, you know? We know it's there, it's nice, but the closer we get, the further it gets, like a horizon.
It's art. I don't understand it. Typical audience response to live art. Can this lack of understanding lie solely within the ignorance of the public alone? Or do you think there is an attempt within performance to keep certain esoteric knowledge secret? What I'm asking is, are we purposely not being given the codes, the manuals to follow these spells? Lon?
I don't know. I have no idea about this. It sounds very complex for me. It's outer space questions. How can I answer that? I don't know.
Dan?
Yeah, I mean, it's true. I mean, the public, they can't handle the truth. So some of these things do have to remain, so to speak, in the archives that are only accessible to a few of the elite.
Why do you do it? Dan?
Why do I practice my art? Yeah, that's a good question. I think it's because I don't have any other choice. I'm following some sort of inner compulsion, and when I try to resist it, it leads to a lot of other problems.
Actually, I'm different. Actually, I have a lot of choices, and I like to try different things. And at the end, I just found out if I try a lot of things, and then we call it art.
Gentlemen, I'm going to ask you both something very direct, and I would appreciate a direct answer. We've been discussing many things this evening: dichotomies, false dichotomies, Satanism, the connotations with the colors black, white, and gray, mixing genres, the possibility of opposites having more in common than we're willing to admit. What I want to ask you is, do you know what I'm getting at with all this talk?
Yeah, sure.
Okay, I have one last question. What feelings are aroused when you think of the color gray? Can you imagine yourself working in an environment that is entirely gray?
Yeah,
Yeah.
it sounds.
I would really like to
Nice.
try that sometime, actually. Yeah.
Yeah, it sounds good.
Would you both be willing to attempt such an experiment right now?
Sure,
Yeah.
sure. Let's do it.
Don't look around the room. I want you both to focus on the gray on the inside. With eyes open, erase the colors. Erase all the colors in the world. There is an object of passive power in the room for each of you. Don't search for it, simply take it. Do this now. Place this object on your head. Don't think about your life or your death. Don't look around the room. Close your eyes. You have a room full of witnesses. Take them with you. You awake to the infinity for the first time. It's difficult to focus. There is no sound, just the impulse, the pulse of that first light. It's black, and then it's bright white. Move for the first time. Act historically, but without history. Every move is intended. Show us what you want. Show us what you intend to create. Intention without reference. Intention without history. Intention without color. Resist the past, resist the future. Embrace that first spark of gray, the infinite gray. You cannot see us, but we are okay. Don't worry about us. We are just fine. Embrace this infinity as it tries to get away. Ben Okri wrote, "Magic becomes art when it has nothing to hide." So then why, my dear guests watching out there all over the world, do we continue to hide? We hide behind our definitions, behind our education, behind our outdated philosophies, which we hold up like umbrellas to the wind to protect us from the unexpected, the uninvited, the other. Why do we hide the effects we work so diligently and arduously to produce behind the mask of a clown, a thief, a puppet? Your dance is not in vain. It's to produce rain, and then the rainbow. Why do you play fool to the cause? I see you. I see your attempt to hold on and to break out all at the same time. I see your doubts, your references, your old black and white blues. I see the scam you play on yourself day in and day out. Why can't you just come out? There's no black box. There's no white cube. There's only you. And look what happens when there are no dichotomies. You disappear, gone like yesterday's news. Come out to play, my little magicians, come out to play, for soon it may be too late. Eric Tyler claims there's no magic in dried lizards and dead chickens. Well, answer me just this last time. Could he be wrong?